And then finally, with our big game previews, let's go to Oxford, Mississippi, where LSU will come to town. Now, you look at LSU since week 2. Now, man, week 1 against Florida State, a lot of positives in the first half, not so many in the second half. But Jaden Daniels, he has had 24 possessions since the start of week 2. They've scored on 20 of those 24 possessions. 16 touchdowns, 4 field goals. Daniels right now leads the SEC in total yards per game, 372. Passing yards per game, 324. Efficiency, passing efficiency, 190. And points accounted for, which is 84. He is keeping defenses honest. But another thing he's doing a great job of, the deep ball passing attack, man. I mean, he is really doing a phenomenal job finding Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas, who are now kind of molding into probably the top tandem of wide receivers in the SEC. They have been lethal, and both are on pace right now to surpass the 1,000-yard mark and could eclipse 10 touchdowns as well. So the offense rolling the way it is has been massive, and it's in large part due to Jane Daniels' accuracy down the field to his outstanding weapons. They also have now found what I think is a guy that's only going to get better in Logan Diggs. He's kind of burst onto the scene, and if he can continue to emerge, it'll obviously take a ton of pressure off of Jaden Daniels, so we won't have to do as much. The big question in this game is, can Ole Miss run the football? I mean, Quinshon Judkins has been in witness protection the last couple of weeks, man. He just hasn't been a factor. And I'm not sure exactly if this is the get-right recipe for him and this offensive line, conversely, knowing what they're up against. You got Jordan Jefferson, you got Mason Smith, you got Mekhi Wingo, you got Parashant. I mean, that front four defensively is a real handful. A real handful. And if you're not playing well up front, those guys are going to eat your lunch, just like they did against Mississippi State. Did not do a good job of that, by the way, against Arkansas. But for whatever reason, LSU kind of ebbs and flows. I would anticipate a better performance this week from LSU than what we got last week, especially in the front seven defensively. We already know that this is a game-changing defensive tackle unit. Mekhi Wingo and Mason Smith by themselves. So if those two guys start to get off, it's going to be a huge problem. But we all know where the issue has been for LSU. It's been in the secondary. Their secondary has blown coverages. If you actually look at some of the issues last week, I mean, Zy Alexander's coming up and not playing his assignment. Next thing you know, KJ Jefferson hits a tight end and they're out the gate for a big touchdown. They've blown coverages. They've had missed assignments. They've had miscommunications. And they've lost a lot of one-on-one battles. And if you go back to the Florida State game, there were a bunch of one-on-one battles that they just did not win. And the big question for LSU coming into the season was their secondary. Well, it's proven to be a reasonable question still, even 4 games into the season. And this group at wide receiver has been a little banged up from time to time. It's not a great spot to be in, knowing that you're facing some quality weapons and Jordan Watkins, Dayton Wade, and Trey Harris. These guys have been a little bit banged up, and Jackson Dart has been really efficient so far this year. He's a mobile quarterback that can extend plays and has been really accurate on some of the downfield stuff. Now, it didn't really help them a lot last week. He made a mistake or two last week as well. But either way, man, this will be, I think, the position group that might determine whether or not LSU can win a national championship. If they don't get better in the secondary, they're going to lose a couple more in the regular season, knowing the passing techs that they're likely to face. This game's in Oxford, but I think LSU gets it done. I have not at all been impressed with what I've seen from Ole Miss's rushing attack. And while I like Jackson Dart and I like the weapons and I love Judkins, if they can't get the running game going, this offense is never going to be able to hit its ceiling. And I'm not sure that they want to try to get it going against a defensive front that will absolutely tear you apart with their individual personnel matchups along the line of scrimmage.